Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Govardhan Lila Mataji.
Hold on, I'm trying to get some volume here.
Sure.
One moment, Mataji. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Mataji, I can hear you.
Okay, now I can hear you. Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't text you right away. It just seemed like every time I was going to text you, something else came up.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens, but I would certainly, we can talk tomorrow. But yeah, that's it, Mataji. I'm just got home, and today actually we're up to date with our with the scheduling, correct?
Your question is like, what are we supposed to read today?
What I had scheduled in there, because today what we're supposed to read.
Just translations, I believe, for
Yes.
chapter 8.
Okay, then I'm on the right track here. Okay, that's good. Yeah, we can talk tomorrow. So how are you? How are you doing, Mataji?
This is being recorded.
I understand. We'll talk tomorrow. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not going anywhere tomorrow.
Sure.
I am home. I was out today and it was just lovely.
Oh, that's nice. That's
nice. Just, yeah, Marcy Ganga and I, we met and just had a few vegetarian things to eat. And we went to shop for her, petticoats and sari and her what do you call them? Choli blouses or I don't know what they're called. But those blouses. And so that was, okay. So here comes Manasi Ganga Mataji. Oh, Mamma Mia.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, all questions. Srila Prabhupada Gurudev.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Well, it's
Hare
5
Krishna.
after. I don't know how
Hare
long.
Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj.
Please, Hare Krishna Mataji. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Okay, I don't know how long this chapter is.
Hare Krishna, Manasi Ganga Mataji and Lavanya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
Please accept our humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Maharajas. This has 85.
Wow.
Oh, we better get started.
It's a long chapter. 82, sorry.
Yeah, 82 verses.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have 4 people here that can read. Am I correct? Oh, no, I guess Manasi Ganga Mataji, are you still driving?
I'm still driving.
That's okay.
For a while.
But there are 3 of us who can read. So I think I'll get started. Today's my day. If that's okay with all the Matajis here.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, sure.
You can say the prayers and get started.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Darati Svaparantikam Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Yasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Okay, Matajis. We are reading today from chapter 8 of Canto 4. And it's, hold on, Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. We are reading just the translations. So maybe we can take, let's just do 5 apiece and see who gets on, who would like to read. Okay, so I'll start off and then we can go from there. Text number 1. The great sage Maitreya said, the 4 great Kumara sages headed by Sanaka, as well as Narada, Ribu, Hamsa, Aruni, and Yati, all sons of Brahma, did not live at home, but became Urdhvareta, or Naishtika brahmacharis, unadulterated celibates. 2. Another son of Lord Brahma was irreligion, whose wife's name was falsity. From their combination were born 2 demons named Damba, or bluffing, and Maya, or cheating. These 2 demons were taken by a demon named Nirriti, who had no children. 3. Maitreya told Vidura, O great soul, from Damba and Maya were born greed and nikriti, or cunning. From their combination came children named Krodha, anger, and Himsa, envy. And from their combination were born Kali and his sister Durukti, harsh speech. Gosh, that sounds like me. 4. O greatest of all good men, by the combination of Kali and harsh speech, were born children named Mrityu, death, and Biti, fear. From the combination of Mrityu and Biti came children named Yatana, excessive pain, and Niraya, hell. 5. My dear Vidura, I have summarily explained the causes of devastation. One who hears this description 3 times attains piety and washes the sinful contamination from his soul. Okay, would someone else like to go 6 through, the next 5 verses, 6 through 10?
Sure, Mataji. I can read first,
Thank you.
and some other Matajis can read after, if that's okay. Text 6, Maitreya continued. O best of the Kuru dynasty, I shall now describe to you the descendants of Swayambhuva Manu, who was born of a part of a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 7. Swayambhuva Manu had 2 sons by his wife Shatarupa, and the name of the sons were Uttanapada and Priyavrata. Because both of them were descendants of the plenary expansion of Vasudev, the personality of Godhead, they were very competent to rule the universe, to maintain and protect the citizens. 8. King Uttanapada had 2 queens named Suniti and Suruchi. Suruchi was much more dear to the king. Suniti, who had a son named Dhruva, was not his favorite. 9. Once upon a time, King Uttanapada was patting the son of Suruchi, Uttam, placing him on his lap. Dhruva Maharaj was also trying to get on the king's lap, but the king did not very much welcome him. 10. While the child Dhruva Maharaj was trying to get on the lap of his father's, Suruchi, his stepmother, became very envious of the child, and with great pride she began to speak as to be heard by the king himself.
I can read, Mataji.
Thank you, Lavanya Mataji.
Text 11. Queen Suruchi told Dhruva Maharaja, "My dear child, you do not deserve to sit on the throne or on the lap of the king. Surely you are also the son of the king, but because you did not take your birth from my womb, you are not qualified to sit on your father's lap." Text 12. My dear child, you are unaware that you were born not of my womb, but of another woman. Therefore, you should know that your attempt is doomed to failure. You are trying to fulfill a desire which is impossible to fulfill. Text 13. If you at all desire to rise to the throne of the king, then you have to undergo severe austerities. First of all, you must satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, and then, when you are favored by him, because of such worship, you shall have to take your next birth from my womb. Text 14. The sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, as a snake, when struck by a stick, breathes very heavily, Dhruva Maharaja, having been struck by the strong words of his stepmother, began to breathe very heavily because of great anger. When he saw that his father was silent and did not protest, he immediately left the palace and went to his mother. Text 15. When Dhruva Maharaja reached his mother, his lips were trembling in anger and he was crying very grievously. Queen Suniti immediately lifted her son onto her lap, while the palace residents who had heard all the harsh words of Suruchi related everything in detail. The Suniti also became greatly aggrieved. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay, I will go 16 through 20. 16. This incident was unbearable to Suniti's patience. She began to burn as if in a forest fire, and in her grief she became just like a burnt leaf, and so lamented. And she remembered the words of her co-wife, her bright lotus-like face filled with tears, and thus she spoke. 17. She also was breathing very heavily, and she did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pains upon others suffers himself from that pain. Wow, is that true? 18. Suniti said, My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so, because the king, your father, does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore, it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast, you have grown up. 19. My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual. Therefore, if you desire at all to sit on the same throne as your stepbrother, Uttama, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. Without further delay, you must engage yourself in worshiping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 20. Suniti continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshiping his lotus feet, your great-grandfather, Lord Brahma, acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. Although he is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life air. Prana.
Text 21. Suniti informed her son, Your grandfather, Swayambhuva Manu, executed great sacrifices by distribution of charity, and thereby, with unflinching faith and devotion, he worshipped and satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By acting in that way, he achieved the greatest success in material happiness and afterwards achieved liberation, which is impossible to obtain by worshipping the demigods. My dear boy, you should You also should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Persons seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death always take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupation, just situate the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart and without deviation for a moment, engage always in His service. 23. My dear Dhruva, as far as I am concerned, I do not find anyone who can mitigate your distress but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose eyes are like lotus petals. Many demigods, such as Lord Brahma, seek the pleasure of the goddess of fortune, but the goddess of fortune herself, with a lotus flower in her hand, is always ready to render service to the Supreme Lord. 24. The great sage Maitreya continued. The instruction of Dhruva Maharaj's mother, Suniti, was actually meant for fulfilling his desired objective. Therefore, after deliberate consideration and with intelligence and fixed determination, he left his father's house. Text 25. The great sage Narada overheard this news, and understanding all the activities of Dhruva Maharaj, he was struck with wonder. He approached Dhruva and touching the body and touching the boy's head with his all virtuous hand, he spoke as follows.
Text 26. How wonderful are the powerful Kshatriyas! They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement upon their prestige. Just imagine, this boy is only a small child, yet harsh words from his stepmother proved unbearable to him. The great text 27. The great sage Narada told Dhruva, my dear boy, you are only a little boy whose attachment is to sports and other frivolities. Why are you so affected by words insulting your honor? 28. My dear Dhruva, if you feel that your sense of honor has been insulted, you still have no cause for dissatisfaction. This kind of dissatisfaction is another feature of the illusory energy. Every living entity is controlled by his previous actions, and therefore there are different varieties of life for enjoying or suffering. 29. The process of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very wonderful. One who is intelligent should accept that process and be satisfied with whatever comes, favorable or unfavorable, by his supreme will. 30. Now you have decided to undertake the mystic process of meditation under the instruction of your mother just to achieve the mercy of the Lord. But in my opinion, such austerities are not possible for any ordinary man. It is very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
31. Narada Muni continued. After trying this process for many, many births and remaining unattached to material contamination, placing themselves continually in trance and executing many types of austerities, many mystic yogis were unable to find the end of the path of God realization. 32. For this reason, my dear boy, you should not endeavor for this. It will not be successful. It is better that you go home. When you are grown up, by the mercy of the Lord, you will get a chance for these mystic performances. At that time, you may execute this function. 33. One should try to keep himself satisfied in any condition of life, whether distress or happiness, which is offered by the supreme will. A person who endures in this way is able to cross over the darkness of nescience very easily. 34. Every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate toward him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of this material world. 35. Dhruva Maharaj said, my dear Lord Naradaji, For a person whose heart is disturbed by the material conditions of happiness and distress, whatever you have so kindly explained for attainment of peace of mind is certainly a very good instruction. But as far as I am concerned, I am covered by ignorance, and this kind of philosophy does not touch my heart.
36. My dear Lord, I am very impudent for not accepting your instructions. But this is not my fault. It is due to my having been born in a Kshatriya family. My stepmother Suruchi has pierced my heart with her harsh words. Therefore, your valuable instruction does not stand in my heart. O learned Brahmana, I want to occupy a position more exalted than any yet achieved within the three worlds by anyone, either by my father and grandfather. If you will oblige, kindly advise me of an honest path to follow by which I can achieve the goal of my life. 38. My dear Lord, you are a worthy son of Lord Brahma, and you travel playing on your musical instrument, the veena, for the welfare of the entire universe. You are like the sun, which rotates in the universe for the benefit of all living beings. 39. The sage Maitreya continued. The great personality, Narada Muni, upon hearing the words of Dhruva Maharaj, became very compassionate toward him, and in order to show him his causeless mercy, he gave him the following expert advice. 40. The sage Narada told Dhruva Maharaj, the instruction given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord.
Text 41. Any person who desires the fruits of the four principles, religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end liberation, should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for worship of his lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all of this. 42. My dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune for you. You should go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvana, and there be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always lives there. 43. Narada Muni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of the Yamuna river, which is known as Kalindi, you should take 3 baths daily because the water is very auspicious, sacred, and clear. After bathing, you should perform the necessary regulative principles for Ashtanga Yoga and then sit down on your asana, sitting place, in a calm and quiet position. 44. After sitting on your seat, practice the 3 kinds of breathing exercises and thus gradually control the life, air, the mind, and the senses. Completely free yourself from all material contamination and with great patience begin to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 45. The form of the Lord is described herein. The Lord's face is perpetually very beautiful and pleasing in attitude. To the devotees who see him, he appears never to be displeased, and he is always prepared to award benedictions to them. His eyes, his nicely decorated eyebrows, his raised nose, and his broad forehead are all very beautiful. He is more beautiful than all the demigods. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
46. Narada Muni continued, the Lord's form is always youthful. Every limb and every part of his body is properly formed, free from defect. His eyes and lips are pinkish like the rising sun. He is always prepared to give shelter to the surrendered soul, and anyone so fortunate as to look upon him feels all satisfaction. The Lord is always worthy to be the master of the surrendered soul, for he is the ocean of mercy. 47. The Lord is further described as having the mark of Srivatsa, or the sitting place of the goddess of fortune, and his bodily hue is deep bluish. The Lord is a person, He wears a garland of flowers, and he is eternally manifest with 4 hands, which hold, beginning from the lower left hand, a conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. 48. The entire body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, is decorated. He wears a valuable jeweled helmet, necklaces, and bracelets. His neck is adorned with the Kaustuba jewel, and he is dressed in yellow silk garments. 49. The Lord is decorated with small golden bells around his waist, and his lotus feet are decorated with golden ankle bells. All his bodily features are very attractive and pleasing to the eyes. He is always peaceful, calm, and quiet, and very pleasing to the eyes and the mind. 50. Real yogis meditate upon the transcendental form of the Lord as he stands on the whorl of the lotus of their hearts, the jewel-like nails of his lotus feet glittering.
Linda Mataji, are you on the call? Are you able to read? And Dhira Shanta Mataji, would both of you like to read? We are in Canto 4 and we are reading translations for chapter 8. Okay, I guess both of them are away from the phone.
Mataji, you could read.
Sure.
Thank you for asking, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, text 51. The Lord is always smiling, and the devotees should constantly see the Lord in this form, as he looks very mercifully towards the devotee. In this way, the meditator should look towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of all benedictions. 52. One who meditates in this way, concentrating his mind upon the always auspicious form of the Lord, is very soon freed from all material contamination, and he does not come down from meditating upon the Lord. 53. O son of the king, now I shall speak unto you a mantra, which is to be chanted with the process of meditation. One who carefully chants this mantra for 7 nights can see the perfect human beings flying in the sky. 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the 12th syllable mantra for worshipping Lord Krishna. One should install the physical forms of the Lord, and with the chanting of the mantra, one should offer flowers and fruits and other varieties of foodstuffs exactly according to the rules and regulations prescribed by authorities. But this should be done in consideration of place, time, and attendant conveniences and inconveniences. 55. One should worship the Lord by offering pure water, pure flower garlands, fruits, flowers, and vegetables which are available in the forest, or by collecting newly grown grasses, small buds of flowers, or even the skins of trees, and if possible, by offering tulsi leaves, which are very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Text 56. It is possible to worship a form of the Lord made of physical elements such as earth, water, pulp, wood, and metal. In the forest, one can make a form with no more than earth and water and worship him according to the above principles. A devotee who has full control over his self should be very sober and peaceful and must be satisfied simply with eating whatever fruits and vegetables are available in the forest. 57. My dear Dhruva, besides worshipping the deity and chanting the mantra 3 times a day, you should meditate upon the transcendental activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his different incarnations as exhibited by his supreme will and personal potencies. Text 58. One should follow in the footsteps of previous devotees regarding how to worship the Supreme Lord with the prescribed paraphernalia, or one should offer worship within the heart by reciting the mantra to the personality of Godhead, who is non-different from the mantra. 59 to 60. Anyone who thus engages in the devotional service of the Lord seriously and sincerely with his mind, words, and body, and who is fixed in the activities of the prescribed devotional methods, is blessed by the Lord according to his desire. If a devotee desires material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation from the material world, he is awarded these results. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
61. If one is very serious about liberation, he must stick to the process of transcendental loving service, engaging 24 hours a day in the highest stage of ecstasy. And he must certainly be aloof from all activities of sense gratification. 62. When Dhruva Maharaj, the son of the king, was thus advised by the great sage Narada, he circumambulated Narada, his spiritual master, and offered him respectful obeisances. Then he started for Madhuvana, which is always imprinted with the lotus footprints of Lord Krishna, and which is therefore especially auspicious. 63. After Dhruva entered Madhuvana forest to execute devotional service, the great sage Narada thought it wise to go to the king to see how he was faring within the palace. When Narada Muni approached, the king received him properly, offering him due obeisances. After being seated comfortably, Narada began to speak. 64. The great sage Narada inquired, "My dear king, your face appears to be withering up, and you look like you have been thinking of something for a very long time. Why is that? Have you been hampered in following your path of religious rites, economic development, and sense gratification?" 65. The king replied, "O best of the Brahmanas, I am very much addicted to my wife, and I am so fallen that I have abandoned all merciful behavior, even to my son, who is only 5 years old. I have banished him and his mother, even though he is a great soul and a great devotee."
66. My dear Brahmana, the face of my son was just like a lotus flower. And thinking of his precarious condition, he is unprotected and he might be very hungry. He may have lain down somewhere in the forest and the wolves may have attacked him to eat his body. 67. Alas, just see how I was conquered by my wife. Just imagine my cruelty. Out of love and affection, the boy was trying to get up on my lap, but I did not receive him, nor did I even pat him for a moment. Just imagine how hard-hearted I am. 68. The great sage Narada replied, "My dear son, please do not be aggrieved about your son. He is well protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although you have no actual information of his influence, his reputation is already spread all over the world." 69. My dear king, your son is very competent. He will perform activities which would be impossible even for great kings and sages. Very soon he will complete his task and come back home. You should know that he will also spread your reputation all over the world. 70. The great sage Maitreya continued. The king, Uttanapad, after being advised by Narada Muni, practically gave up all duties in relation with his kingdom, which were very vast and wide. Opulent like the goddess of fortune, he simply began to think of his son, Dhruva.
Text 71. Elsewhere, Dhruva Maharaja, having arrived at Madhuvana, took his bath in the river Yamuna and observed fasting in the night with great care and attention. After that, as advised by the great sage Narada, he engaged himself in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 72. For the first month, Dhruva Maharaja ate only fruits and berries on every third day, only to keep his body and soul together, and in this way he progressed in his worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 73. In the second month, Dhruva Maharaja ate only every 6 days, and for his eatables, he took dry grass and leaves. Thus he continued his worship. 74. In the third month, he drank water only every 9 days. Thus he remained completely in trance and worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by selected verses. 75. In the fourth month, Dhruva Maharaja became a complete master of the breathing exercise, and thus he inhaled air only every 12th day. In this way, he became completely fixed in his position and worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, 76. By the fifth month, Dhruva Maharaj, the son of the king, had controlled his breathing so perfectly that he was able to stand on only one leg, just as a column stands, without motion, and concentrate his mind fully on the Parabrahman. 77. He completely controlled his senses and their objects, and in this way he fixed his mind without diversion to anything else upon the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 78. When Dhruva Maharaj thus captured the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the refuge of the total material creation and who is the master of all living entities, the three worlds began to tremble. 79. As Dhruva Maharaj, the king's son, kept himself steadily standing on one leg, the pressure of his big toe pushed down half the earth, just as an elephant being carried on a boat rocks the boat left and right with his every step. 80. When Dhruva Maharaj became practically one in heaviness with Lord Vishnu, the total consciousness, due to his fully concentrating and closing all the holes of his body, the total universal breathing became choked up, and all the great demigods in all the planetary systems felt suffocated and thus took shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
81. The demigod said, Dear Lord, you are the refuge of all moving and non-moving living entities. We feel all living entities to be suffocating, their breathing processes choked up. We have never experienced such a thing. Since you are the ultimate shelter of all surrendered souls, we have therefore approached you. Kindly save us from this danger. 82. The personality of Godhead replied, My dear demigods, do not be perturbed by this. It is due to the severe austerity and full determination of the son of King Uttanapada, who is now fully absorbed in thought of me. He has obstructed the universal breathing process. You can safely return to your respective homes. I shall stop this boy in his severe acts of austerities, and you will be saved from this situation.
Wow. Okay, Mataji's, think about this for a moment. If there's any comments you'd like to make before we get, actually into the chapter. It's a very long chapter. Now is the time to, talk. Something that struck you or you found interesting or you have questions about. It's just interesting to me that Lord Brahma gave birth to all these different sons, and even his wife's, name was falsity, and another son was irreligion. All these, it just seems like as soon as the progeny came about, at least I'm not sure, but it seems like you can see the karma of the material, that the the forces of the three modes of material nature working, Maya, if you will, the cheating, propensities, all of those things start to come out. So I thought that was very interesting. The pain and death and hell, these different combinations produced these various types of, what could I call them? I don't want to call them anartas, but modes, under the modes of ignorance, passion, etc., goodness. They give rise to these different types of descendants, the imperfection of the universe, the material universe. And then very interestingly, the stepmother, oh, this is tough. Or, from what I don't even know, I haven't read all of this, but Dhruva Maharaj wanted to get on his father's lap, and then his stepmother, Suruchi, became envious. Okay, and boy, I know about this because I have a stepmother, and I know how this occurred, but I didn't have the knowledge to use my intelligence with my stepmother until more recently. And, thank goodness I've been able to, thank Krishna, that I've been able to see how I can remedy this situation, because it is saying here basically that, that all of this stuff that's going on, I think Dhruva Maharaj was being instructed, like, what, don't feel bad, because this is all coming from the modes of material nature. This is due to the modes of material nature. And I've heard this to me, over and over again. So this has a lot of, this is close to my heart. Let me put it this way. And even if you're hearing things which are painful to you, you shouldn't wish for anything bad for others. Anyone who inflicts pain upon others suffers himself from that pain. And that is so true, because anytime I've wished, I've had resentment toward anyone, whether I was right or wrong, doesn't matter. That's all coming from the material modes. And every time I become angered or I lament, I have to remember that I can't wish anything. That will stop my resentments in their tracks. So I need to be compassionate, even if they're not. And by doing so, that changes them. And I know this. I've had to experience this so many times in my life, very painfully, but I see that there is truth to this. So that's something that came out of all of this. And also, it seems to me we're in the first yuga. Is it Sachi Yuga? Because it seems like the meditation, it's an ascending process in this case, and people could meditate for as many years as they wanted, or stand on one foot for 100 years, or however long they needed to, and they were capable of doing such things that we can't do now. So I'm thinking this might have been the first yuga. I think it's called Sachi Yuga. I could be wrong, but these different stories occur in different yugas, and there's no particular order to them. So those are some comments that came about when I was reading, some thoughts. Thank you, Mataji's. Hare Krishna. Would anybody else like to comment on any of these translations?
Hare Krishna, Matajis. Yeah, this section of Srimad Bhagavatam is was one of the favorite sections of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He used to request. I don't remember who it was. He used to request one of the devotees to narrate these pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj again and again and again. And there is so much nectar. I once heard Chandramauli Maharaj say that, by the Lord hearing these pastimes again and again, he was showing us where the nectar is in Srimad Bhagavatam. So definitely this section is very important, and I'm sure there is our spiritual life will be nourished by reading this section of Srimad Bhagavatam carefully. And Govardhan Leela Mataji, I also appreciate your comments very much. It is actually true. Actually, I heard from one devotee who said that if a person is hurt, he will hurt you. So, I mean, in one sense, it's the same thing that you were saying, that if a person is hurt, like no matter what they do and what they say, like we will also feel their emotion, their hurt feelings. So yeah, I guess it's our responsibility as devotees to take care of ourselves in one way, like, to take care of our own feelings, and to be careful not to offend the devotees of the Lord. So yeah, and I'm also looking forward to reading about the determination of Dhruv Maharaj, because when we read about some particular qualities within the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, or we hear about particular qualities of a devotee, it will inspire those qualities within us. So I really look forward to reading about the determination of Dhruv Maharaj and take something from that section into my personal life. Thank you for letting me.
Manjari, is this during the Sachi Yuga?
Yes, it's there in the beginning of creation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for sharing both Leela Manjari and Govardhan Leela. I think that this story will be very helpful to myself and others as well. It's a story of Dhruva Maharaj going from having material desires and transforming, and ultimately having desires of spiritual value. And I think that this will be interesting to hopefully learn how, we can take our material desires and transform them into spiritual desires. That's the transformation. I think that's the whole path. That's the whole bhakti path, is to take material desires and transform them into desires to please the Lord. So I think this will be a very interesting read for us all, and full of learning. as well. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. It's very nicely given the points from this chapter, and looking forward to read the verses along with the purports, Mataji. Yeah. Thank you so much. Leela Manjari Mataji, is it Swarup Damodara Swami Goswami who recited all these pastimes to Lord Chaitanya?
I think so, Mataji, but I didn't say the name because I don't remember it fully. I think it was Sarup Damodar Goswami.
I think it was Advaita Acharya.
Advaita
Oh, sorry,
Acharya
not
or
Advaita Acharya. Sorry, it is Gadadhar Pandit. I think he used to sit and read Srimad Bhagavatam with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that. There is this temple where the Lord is in the it's a bending pose. I don't remember the name of the deity though, but I remember reading that Gadadhar Pandit used to read Srimad Bhagavatam for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every day.
Yeah, maybe you're right, Mataji. Even I'm not sure. I just want to ask. Okay, nice. Okay, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it is that Tota Gopinath temple, Mataji. I remember
okay.
the name. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Mataji. Then I think I have to leave, Mataji.
Thank you for joining, Lavanya Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Yesterday I couldn't join. Tomorrow I'll join. Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Is there anyone else who has any last points they'd like to make? Okay, then we will meet tomorrow, and that's it. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.